Alright, well, hello everybody, welcome to Main Chat Nerd Night. We have a couple of things to catch up on. We've done, the group has done some things during the off time, off session. So just to sort of give a quick overview of everything that's going on, the group is on their way back from the capital city of Pitchfield, where they discovered and defeated an incursion by some sort of demonic or abyssal entity known as a Dream Eater. They were very well rewarded for it, and are now heading back to, well, first to Fandaulo, to an individual by the name of Nald, letting him know that they've found his son, also named Nald, and then onward to, hopefully, to Darnek, where they originally started their adventure. Along the way, they stopped off in the city of Bren, where this was the first location where they first encountered the cult of Baphomet, who is either involved or at least closely related to these sort of demonic entities. They've spent a little bit of time in the city. They sold the hide and armor plating of a bullet they encountered to an extremely grateful blacksmith by the name of Elaim Mordagak. They also went over and spoke to I'm blanking on the word. Somebody help me. Potion maker.
Alchemist?
Not alchemist. Apothecary. Thank you. An apothecary. 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 Did some business with them, learned a little bit, sold some things, bought some things. And we are now picking up, during most of these interactions, Hoyd had broken off from the group and made his way up to the upper portion of the city, the Lawmaster's residence / office, up on top of the hill that Bren is situated on.
I have a travel question.
Sure.
Did we hit the town, I think it was Ford's End, did we hit the town that had the tailor yet?
Ford's End is on the way to Fandaulo from Bren.
Okay.
It's right on the border between Brenethar and Hestmark counties. Hestmark?
Is there any way I can send a message ahead of my arrival?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, if you want to send a conventional message, there are couriers, very readily available in a large city such as Bren.
Oh, okay.
Or you could ask someone to use the send.
Well, actually, I don't know if this can I don't know if this sort of thing can be requested in advance, but I'm gonna first ask if it can be requested in advance. I'm asking you, the DM. I would like to modify my capelet such that the pocket can be accessed from both sides.
Okay, so you're looking to send it ahead as a package to the tailor in Ford's End. Is that...
Suppose that could work? Yeah.
Is that what you're looking to do?
Modify it so that, the pockets can, because there's, a pocket in the capelet, and I think there's, one on the inside and one on the outside, and I'd like to connect the two to make, a single pocket space.
Okay.
You know, a throw pocket that I can access from either side. Basically the thing, if you remember, the thing that I asked, hey, can I put this on my character back when I was building my character, a year ago?
Yeah, at the very beginning, but I deemed that it would be a bit too expensive for you at the time. But yes, if
I have money.
If you're able to find a courier that was willing to package up your capelet, and a message of your choosing, to get to Ford's End. It's not an incredibly far journey, so to get to Ford's End it'll cost you maybe a silver, and it'll get there in 2 days, versus you traveling with a cart will get there in 3 days.
Cool, so he's got hopefully you can get it done in a day.
Okay, So you send it
I
ahead.
imagine it's not a difficult mod.
What else? What do you say in the message? You describe what you'd like done. Is there anything else you want to add to it?
Okay, well, the normal niceties, like, you know, like, hope you're having a good time, hope fate's treating you kind. I will also add that I, will pay in full upon my arrival, and if I do not, he can keep the capelet as collateral.
Okay, so you mentioned this all, and
So, like, he'll give it back to me when I pay him for the mod.
Okay. Yeah, so you you go and you find a courier, you pay the silver to him, to the courier. They send off almost immediately. You can see they have this is their business. Sending packages and so on. And you can see they load your little bundle up into a large like a covered wagon that's destined for Gynolynne, eventually Fandaulo, but passes through all of the other towns along the way. So by the end of this day today, they'll be departing to go off to Fandaulo with your package in tow.
Huzzah, Merciful.
Less the Pony Express.
More or less.
Thinking that.
More or less, yeah. Oh, that reminds me. Sorry, I forgot. As I was listening to the episode today, last episode, I remembered I need to turn certain people's volumes up. There we go. Especially Prudence. I gotta turn his volume way up so I can hear him. Alrighty. So is that what you'd like to do before we head off and spend some time with Hoyd?
Oh boy.
Yeah, that is basically my thing. That's my thing.
Okay. So
Let's
Hoyd.
start the next chronicle of Annoyed at Hoyd.
Yes.
So
Hoyd.
excited.
Episode 23.
Yeah. So Hoyd, you I believe this was after you guys had all gone to the blacksmith. As the rest of the group went to the apothecary, you broke off and you went off to the lawmaster's office, situated up on the hill. And as you approach, one of the guards moves to stop you, and challenge your
Before
entrance.
I approach, I want to see what the guards look like from afar as I'm walking up.
Okay.
How many so on?
What detail in particular are you looking for?
How many they are, rank, if I can see it.
Sure. Go ahead and make a perception check, just as you're coming along.
It's a 9.
It's a 9. Okay. Well, I mean, easily enough, you can see that there are 2 guards immediately flanking the doors. There are town guards around. You see them wandering occasionally. You also see a number of in sort of like the small courtyard. There are a number of the Knights of Bren that you encountered. One of them appears to be demonstrating a sort of training exercise to a group of younger individuals. This would be where is it? Lucian, I want to say? Or is Lucian the one that... Oh, it's Gerald, actually. Who is the lieutenant of the city guard that you spoke to, is doing some training with the Knights of Bren.
Okay.
But otherwise, I mean, it's about what you would have expected for a city that had just had an incursion not 1 week ago. Oh, a little over
Gotcha.
a week ago. Actually, no, that's right. You spent 2 weeks in Pitchfield. So it was about 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Alright, I'm gonna duck into an alley for a half second on my way there.
Okay. Yeah, you duck into a side alley. Taking a quick glance around, it doesn't appear that anyone is following or even paying much attention to you.
Okay. I'm going to muss up my hair a little bit and apply a little bit of makeup and change my glamored armor to look like a messenger.
Okay. So you go and you muss yourself up. You, are you taking advantage of your background feature to change your appearance, or are you just sort of messing yourself up a little?
I am making use of my actor ability.
Your actor ability, okay. So you do, to a close inspection, people will recognize you, but people who aren't intimately familiar with you would not recognize you as the same person as before. Okay.
Right.
You sort of muss up your hair a bit. So your armor, for all intents and purposes, appears outwardly to be just, like a tweed shirt and a pair of simple slacks. You have a pair of flats, like leather
just
flat
simple,
shoes on.
Mundane
Very
clothing.
simple clothing. Your pack, which, that doesn't change in appearance at all, but it sort of hangs a little bit more loosely in line with the illusion.
Alright, I think I'm ready. I'm gonna go towards the guards.
Okay. So you go and you approach the guards, and one of them sort of moves, not exactly to block you, but just to sort of, give you pause and says, what business do you have here?
I have an urgent message for the Law Master? Lindai? I can't read this.
You have a message, then? Give it here.
Yes, I have a message.
He kind of holds his hand out.
It's not a thing. I have to tell him. I can only speak to him directly.
One of the guards, the guard kind of glances to the other one, and the other one rolls his eyes and goes to open the door. And he calls in, Vec! You hear Vec's voice from inside. Yes? You have somebody here for the Lawmaster. Very well. You hear a chair being pulled out, and he... Vec's footsteps are light enough, you recall. You don't really hear him approach, but he does appear at the door, and he looks at... he glances at you. You can see he kind of looks at you, looks at the guard. Yes?
I have a message to the Lawmaster. It's quite urgent.
Very well. He pushes the door. This would be pulls. He pulls the door open, and the other guard, both the guards stand aside to allow you entry. As you're walking, go ahead and make a quick deception check.
Sure.
With advantage, because you're taking advantage of your abilities. And does the glamour have a DC associated with seeing that through the illusion?
It does not.
It does not? Okay, so it's just there. Alright.
It's just there. So I rolled 14. I am also going to be looking for a break in line of sight.
With whom?
From Vec.
From Vec. Okay. As you're walking along, Vec turns away from you and leads you onward. You can tell he's paying an ear, but is likely not really looking at you. So he's paying attention to where you are based on the sound of your footfalls, and not very interested in talking to you. So he's not looking at you. That's probably the closest you're going to get to a break in line of sight.
Okay.
As you enter, there is another guard standing just inside, but as you go into the right-hand doorway, you're familiar with this route at this point, and start going around that curved hallway. As you enter that hallway, from what you can see, there's now nobody seeing you.
nobody seeing me. What about hearing? Is Vex still paying attention?
Vec is standing. It remains close enough and in step with you enough to be able to hear you. He doesn't just take off. He is actively leading you to the Lawmaster.
Gotcha.
So, is there something that you'd like to attempt to do during that time, or?
I'd like to attempt to cast a spell.
Okay, what spell is it?
Greater invisibility.
Ah, okay.
Oh boy.
Greater invisibility. That has a verbal component, does it not?
Yes, it does. And that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah. Verbal and somatic.
What is the difference between invisibility and greater invisibility?
Great.
Invisibility lasts an hour. Greater invisibility lasts a minute. But greater invisibility, I can do anything it doesn't break.
Yep. So attacking,
that's pretty
casting
cool.
a spell, etc. breaks invisibility. Greater invisibility has no such weaknesses.
Right. I am going to,
Okay.
as Beth is leading me down the hall,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to reach into my pack
Okay.
and pull out a little furry ball.
Okay. So you reach into your bag of tricks, and you pull out one of the little fuzzy balls. Shut up.
And I
Alright.
throw it behind us.
You throw it behind you. All right. Go ahead and roll a d8.
Oh no.
I'm just gonna separate you from the rest of the group.
That's an 8.
It's an 8. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. So
I think that's the big one.
it's yeah, this is a big one. So you it's the only one with a. Oh no, I guess they're all challenge rating 1. You take the fuzzy ball and you casually sort of toss it behind you, and there's like a. You hear like an animalistic noise, and taking a glance back, a large brown bear just suddenly fills the space.
no.
This thing practically fills the hallway. It's big. It's a big friggin' bear, and it kind of and it like starts to sort of pat in your direction, and Vec. Oh no. And Vec, hearing this, turns and goes, "What? What?" And he starts muttering some words. You can
I'm going
see-
to... Shh. Let me handle this.
He glancing at you, he stops. You can see he's like partway through the process of casting a spell, but he
I know.
chooses to break it off.
I, in turn, start casting a spell. Looking
Okay.
menacing at the bear, who's doing nothing because he's not doing anything.
So the bear is actually like approaching you, giving you like the, the puppy dog eyes. And so as you begin to cast a spell, Vec then takes a very close look at you.
A very
so
close look.
what is it?
Excellent.
What is it you're casting?
Greater invisibility, and as I cast it, I'm going to wink at him.
You turn and you wink, and poof, you disappear. You hear the bear as it sees you vanish as well. And Vec goes, "Hoid! God damn! What am I supposed to do with this?" You see, he's like very slowly backing away from the bear.
I will have the bear sit down.
Okay. You can command it. So
Yes,
you'd have to
this-
verbally command it. You can't
That's fine.
mentally command it. It is friendly
This-
to you though, so.
Disembodied voice. I'll just say, sit.
And it sits down on the ground. What are you doing?
I will then skip off to the Lawmaster's office.
Okay. Are you attempting to move stealthily so as not to be heard, or are you not caring about the sound of your boots skipping down the hallway?
As funny as that would sound, I'm going to be stealthy.
Okay, roll stealth with advantage. Actually, he has disadvantage because he's distracted.
It's 22.
Okay. So you, as you command the bear to sit, you're already sort of like backing down the hallway. Past Vec, you see Vec like glancing all around, like, and sort of he starts putting his hands out trying to feel you, but you're already gone. You're down the hallway. So you're away. You are now out of sight from both the bear and from both the bear and Vec. You make your way down the hallway, up a small flight of stairs. You're familiar. You've gone this way enough times. You're familiar, and you are soon enough. You are at the door of Lindai's office.
Excellent. I am going to open it quietly.
Okay. So
see if somebody's in there, or if there's a keyhole.
Okay. Yeah, there isn't a keyhole of the door, but you are able to sort of quietly open the door and peek inside. You see Lindai is sitting at his desk. He has his head down. He appears to be buried in some sort of ledger of some kind.
Is the door... How quiet is the door? Is it squeaky? Is it oiled?
It's well maintained. It's relatively quiet. I think the loudest sound that it makes is the click of the latch when you open it. The hinges themselves are fairly quiet.
So I will open the door normally. Invisible, but normally.
Okay. So you go and you open the door. Lindai doesn't seem to react.
I leave the door open.
Okay.
Is there a chair in front of his desk?
Yes. Yeah, you, from the last time you were here, there was one chair. Now there are 2 chairs.
Okay. I will go ahead and sit in one of those chairs.
Okay. You glance down, so you're not able to see yourself either. So you glance down and you see the cushion beneath your bottom is distorted from your weight.
And then I will put my feet on top of his desk and cross them.
Okay. So as your feet come in contact with the desk, Lindai starts and, What? And he looks over at the door like, what? And he, like, very quickly stands up and sort of backs away for a moment. You can see he's scrabbling at something in his pocket.
I will let the disguise fall. Hello, Lawmaster.
Do you drop invisibility as well?
Yes, everything.
Okay. So you pull off, you drop your glamour. You're still maked up because that's a mundane thing, but... What? You. What?
Oh yes, me.
What is it you want?
Deliver a message.
He like is sort of grasping at the air, trying to remember your name.
You
What?
wound me. You don't remember my name?
I see a lot of people. Hoyd.
None as spectacular as me. There
That
you
was your
are.
name. What do you want, Hoyd?
To deliver a message. I
calls
never
down-
lied.
He calls down the hallway. Vec! Vec, get down here! You can hear Vec's voice. I'm a little busy, sir. What did you do? Kind of looks at you and gives you a glare.
Having a bit of fun. Nobody is in danger, I assure you.
That's not particularly reassuring. The fact that you have to say it, that's what worries me.
But if I didn't say it, you wouldn't believe me. So we have a conundrum.
I don't know if I believe you anyway.
Anyway, back to the message.
You can see he now pulls a out of his pocket. He's now pulled a small, what looks almost like a brass sort of it's almost like a jewelry box, you know, like a ring box, like a small little. There's a seam on it, and he's just sort of holding it in his hand and playing with it. What message?
I bring news of our trip to that city that I can't remember the name.
Pitchfield?
Pitchfield, thank you. I bring news from Pitchfield.
Aye.
Have you heard anything so far?
Does it have something to do with the evacuation?
Yes.
Does it have something to do with the what was he kind of shuffles some papers around on his desk?
The goat man?
He kind of looks up. I've not. He shakes his head. He kind of adjusts this sort of tiny little monocle he's got on. Incursion by otherworldly beings repelled by a group of adventurers. Is that you?
Oh. Yeah. That surmises it pretty quaintly.
And kind of puts the paper back down. So, what is it you want?
So what we found were traces of the cult of Baphomet.
When you mention that, you see his demeanor. He's still annoyed. Don't get me wrong, he's still annoyed at you, but his demeanor does shift, and you've clearly captured his attention.
So it may not be this city alone that's being affected.
No. Well, we knew that the cult had connections outside the city. There's no way they could have gotten where they were without resources, but for them to have infiltrated the capital. You see the cultists there. There's no mention of it here on the report.
We found traces of them. We found a charm necklace or charm bracelet with 3 symbols on it. One was clearly Baphomet. And we did fight a demonic being that was controlling the king.
Controlling the king? A being controlling Hazendel?
Yes, he was under a charm.
I bet he was none too pleased about that.
I don't think he was aware of it. That's the nature of charm.
Well, and as you mention that, he kind of stops and then looks at you very closely and glances down at the little box in his hand, and he glances back to you.
You seem rather fascinated by that. What is that toy?
This, he sort of holds it up. You can see now it's I don't have anything. It's about, well, here, this is the case I keep my hearing aid microphone in. It's about this big, and it has a simple clasp opening. And he opens it up, and inside you can see both. There's no object inside of it, but as you open it, you can see each half of it has this sort of like, how do I even describe it? Almost mercury-like, sort of swirling, shimmering material. And as he does this, he sets it down on the table. And I hadn't considered this. I gotta check something real quick. Hold on.
Okay.
I have to look something up about the nature of one of your magic items.
Gonna get interesting.
So, as he does this, first thing you notice, you remind me what magic items you have on you. I know you have your armor, you have your sword. Is there anything else?
My neckerchief. My tie.
Okay. And that doesn't require attunement or anything. It's just on you, right?
The tie and the rapier both require attunement. The armor does not.
Okay. So you sense the sort of nimbleness that the tie would normally have granted you. You feel that effect fade.
Interesting.
And you, for the first time in weeks, how do I phrase this? The effect that you're aware of is no longer pressing on you.
That is a fascinating device.
Aye. It's an anti-magic projection field. Keeps me from getting injured. And as you notice, as he had opened up the container, a lot of the items around you Because remember, his office is just filled with little trinkets and gadgets and little whirring devices, and half of them instantly stop moving, as they were likely powered by some sort of magic. The other half continue on. They're more mundane clockwork type devices. But you recognize that the magic in this room is being suppressed.
Now, how does someone get something like that?
Well, you have friends in high places.
I wouldn't call them friends, but they are in high places.
He kind of sits and thinks about that for a moment. What?
Anyway, did somebody craft that for you?
Oh, most certainly. Not at my request, but it was given to me by the... after it was realized that we are not perhaps the most secure and well-defended city. So,
Yet I was able to enter here unaccosted.
Well, you don't look like a demon.
No, I don't.
Nazim thought it was best that at least the important figures all be given some sort of protection. Vec, and as now Vec is, you can see, is just backing into view of the doorway, and he kind of glances over his shoulder. There's a bear. But the Lawmaster is more or less just talking right over him. Vec, he's got some charm or something or other that makes it easier for him to withstand something. It's not my really forte. But what is that? And at this point, the bear has now entered the field of view in the door frame.
Oh, give Vec a hug.
You're saying this to the bear?
Of course I am.
Oh no.
Okay. The bear kind of raises up. The hallway's not very tall, so it can't get up to its full height. But he starts to go and lunges toward Vec. And let's see. Just gotta double check something real quick. If you could make the bear
Okay.
make a, well, I'm saying if you could roll a
I know what you mean.
strength saving throw. The bear's bonus is +4. Sorry, strength check, but it doesn't matter. It's the same.
22.
22.
Oh,
Oh no. So you can see Vec very quickly throws a spell at the bear, but the bear is it pauses for a moment and then kind of it bear hugs Vec, and Vec's like, oh no, we gotta go.
Just a simple grapple.
Which now make a another strength check for the purposes of the grapple. As Vec makes his athletics check, or acrobatics, but it doesn't matter.
7.
7? Okay. So as the bear sort of pounces on top of him, Vec wriggles his way out and just is lying on the ground, sort of scooching back and backing up from the bear, and the bear is looking into the space where Vec was, looking up to Vec, confused.
See, now you've disappointed him.
Hoyt, get rid of it. And you can see, you turn to Lindai, and you can see he has this huge smile across his face, and he says, "Aye, you'd better do as he says."
I wish that I could. He's yours until the next dawn.
What? Oh no. Lindai says, "Well, Vec, it looks like you've made a friend." And you can see, like, Vec looks over it with this just absolute look of disgust. It appears that I
Can't stop laughing.
Will it listen to me?
If you ask nicely. Sir Barrington, would you listen to Vec's commands?
He kind of, like, bobs its head. It's got an intelligence of 2, so you gotta use simple words. But yeah, no, it appears to acquiesce.
Have fun.
Back up, please. And the bear starts to walk backward. It can't really, there's not enough room for it to turn around, so it's like backing down the hallway slowly. Go to the front room and wait there. And the bear kind of and starts walking back down the hallway. Vec turns to you. Why? Why?
Why not? To be honest, I wasn't expecting the bear.
Because that's a bear! What do you mean you weren't what?
Yes, it is a bear. You know your animals. Very, very good.
Lindai! You can see at this point now, Lindai sort of has his hand over his mouth and he's like struggling to hold back a laugh. Maybe it'll like some of your tea. Lindai's and Vec.
Oh, do you sweeten your tea?
I don't like tea. And Lindai and taking a moment to compose himself, Lindai motions to Vec and Vec closes the door behind him. And there's a moment that goes by, and you hear from down the hall a shout from one of the guards, who was not informed that there may be a bear roaming the halls. And Lindai glances over to Vec, and Vec rolls his eyes and says, "I'll take care of it," and he leaves the room. And Lindai Lindai gets up and he closes the anti-magic field projector, and he tucks it away back in his pocket, and he just walks around to the side of the desk where you are and sort of leans against the desk, his entire 2.5 maybe 3 foot frame, and he says, "Well, so what did you actually come here to tell me? I assume you didn't come here to deliver me a bear, so..."
No, that was just more of the fun. I came here to deliver a message about the Cult of Baphomet, and I was a little alarmed to find it up north as well.
Yes, you'd mentioned you'd found evidence of them. Was there any... The report here, he kind of gestures over to the paper he had pulled up before, was somewhat sparse on the details. So what about it? You found one of the symbols. Were there other cultists? Did you find another cell? What else do you think is going on here?
We didn't necessarily find a cell, but we did find that demon creature, the Dream Eater. Was that in the report?
The report that I read you was the extent. There was an incursion by an otherworldly entity, and it was dealt with by a group of adventurers. The capital, he's now like kind of puts his hand up and pinches the bridge of his nose and starts trying to recite from memory. The capital has been secured. Any refugees that may have arrived in your cities may now be... please... No, that's not what he said. He said, now, please tell them that it is safe to return to Pitchfield. There's not a lot of details in these missives, I'm afraid.
Clearly not.
Only enough for us to maintain the security of our particular domains. Nazim was rather upset. He is somewhat detail-oriented, if you will. So the missives that are written by what's his name? That elf assistant of his. Well, whatever his name is, tend to be light on the details.
Well, the otherworldly entity was a Dream Eater. It was a shapeshifter with the charm abilities.
Interesting.
So, any of them could infiltrate anywhere. Except if you have that little box.
Hopefully.
Well, I noticed it. That means a lot.
I'm glad that it has some effect. Well, that is very concerning that they sort of... Was it illusionary shapeshifting, or did it actually become the thing? Do you know?
I wasn't able to catch it and ring it of that secret. I believe it was actual shapeshifting, though.
Wonderful. Well... He kind of sits and considers for a moment. I appreciate you bringing this information to me. It will make... I have a lot of decisions to make in the next couple of days. Now I have to see whether it is perhaps in our best interest to shore up the security of the city even more than it already has.
It might be in your best interest.
Indeed. So, are you in the city for a reason, or simply just passing through?
Oh, I'm simply here to bother you.
I should have known.
I figured you would appreciate the news, and I wanted some fun.
Well, I'm glad that you were able to remind Vec that humor exists in this world.
I am glad he enjoyed that. And now that I know that I want one of those devices...
Enjoyed might be a bit stretching it, but... And you want one of these? He kind of pats his pocket.
Oh, yes, sir.
Well, I have no idea where you'd actually obtain such a thing, but good luck. You know what it is. That's a start, I guess.
It is, and that is a huge leg up. I have a few people I think I can ask.
Alright.
And with that, I will leave.
He kind of gives you a nod as you leave the room. Do you close the door behind you?
I do.
Okay. You can close the door behind you and make your way back down the hall. You can see Vec, as you approach back into the foyer area, Vec, like, sitting at his desk with this bear kind of like... You know how dogs, especially larger dogs, will sometimes just sit to the side of you while you're working and just, you know, just sort of get in the way for attention, but not really bother you exactly?
Mm-hmm.
That's basically what this... It has his head, like, rested on the desk. And every couple of seconds, it, like, you see it looks up at Vec, and Vec is clearly at least trying to ignore it.
I will scritch the bear under its chin as I'm walking by. I will fix my hair and makeup and change my glamored armor to look just like Vec's.
Okay. Yeah, so Vec is wearing fairly simple single-piece robe. He's not wearing armor, not exactly a soldier, but you fix your armor to appear similar to his outfit. He kind of cocks an eyebrow and rolls his eyes and goes back to his work.
Okay, and I walk out the front door.
Okay. And then as
Enjoy
you leave,
your bear.
I will. Thank you, he says through clenched teeth.
You are quite welcome.
And as you leave, as of note, as you leave, and are walking down the steps to the courtyard, both of the guards kind of look at each other and look at you and look at each other, and you can hear one of them whisper, "Did we let him in?" And then you're out of earshot.
Excellent. I will go and rejoin the group wherever they might have gone.
Alrighty. So at this point, they would probably just be finishing up at the apothecary. They still have to wait a few hours for that potion to finish brewing. I don't know if we ever determined whether Rurik, if you were going to stay and assist with the process to learn, or if you were going to go and do your own thing.
I have one other thing that I wanted to do, but if I can stay and learn how to make that essence of rage he was talking about, then I would.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's yeah, he offered to sort of show you some of the things that he knew, so if you want to spend the time watching the Essence of Rage brewing, it's about 2 hours worth of time, but he does sort of walk you through the process. And with your existing knowledge, you feel you're probably comfortable enough to make one of them yourself. It'll take more time, obviously,
Right.
because you're not as proficient, but you are now familiar enough with the process to at least attempt it. And I
The big
believe,
thing is knowing the ingredients and stuff that goes into it.
Mhm.
As
and
far
I
as
believe everyone except Hoyd and Zook were with you at this point. I think
Well, I know
obviously Hoyd.
Shigun was helping with the evacuation endeavor. I'm not sure where he was then.
Okay, yeah. So at that point, you that was back in Pitchfield.
Yeah, that was
Right. I forgot.
that was a little bit ago.
Never mind.
I was gonna say Bren didn't get evacuated. Bren was a place that people evacuated to.
Right.
Zook, you were, well, first you were taverning, and then you found a courier to bring your capelet ahead. Hoyd, you arrive just as the brewing process begins. Zook, you follow suit not very long afterward. You ask around and you manage to find your way back there. Is there anything else you wanted to do before heading back? I'd say you probably have about half an hour of just extra time after doing what you needed to do.
Are you referring to me or others?
Sorry, Zook. Because you...
I don't believe I have anything additional to do here.
Okay, so you come in partway through in the conversation with the apothecary. Alrighty, so the process with the apothecary begins...
If I hear about what Hoyd did, I will yell at him.
I'm wearing Vex clothing.
You see Hoyd walking by in an outfit you've not seen before. Because in fact,
Okay, I'm
obviously has
suspicious.
different sets of clothing, but otherwise it's not exactly like the guard gossips. So
I'm
guard
suspicious.
gossip. So
I'm suspicious. What did he do?
Alrighty, so Rurik, you're now indisposed for a few hours. Do you guys want to do anything in particular, or do you want me to just sort of time skip over that? And I know, Rurik, you had a few things you wanted to do before leaving Bren. If anyone has any particular opinions on that. And as always, if you ever decide that you want to do something during that extra space, we can always do it in the off-time channel after the session. So, okay, so
I'm fine with whatever.
we'll more or less just time skip through that. And if you guys ever feel like you want to buy something or whatever to fill that time, just let me know. Potion brewing finished. You are now in possession of the Essence of Rage and the Potion of Spell Recovery. You are now one Potion of Growth shorter. What else? Okay, so Prudence, Hoyd, you guys doing anything?
Nope, I'm
in particular. So Rurik, I know you wanted to go to the temple. Does anybody else go along with him? Okay, so Prudence,
is this our last things we're doing in Pitchfield, or are we in a different town?
you're in Bren right now.
Bren.
We're in Bren. Okay,
So-
so we're doing stuff in Bren.
The map, surprisingly, actually means something. Pitchfield is up here, where my finger is. Bren is the green marker, that's where you are, and Fandaulo is the red marker. So, incredibly, this map actually does mean something. Alright, so Prudence, you head back to the cart, and you start... the cart's the cart's like right outside the apothecary. And you start packing it up and preparing things. You can you can shift things back in the cart that had been moved to accommodate the size of the bullet plates. So you go and you do that. Yes, you're playing inventory Tetris with the cart. Alright, so Rurik, you said you were going to head off to the temple. There is a,
Yes.
as is most of the cities in this country, in this kingdom rather, there is a temple to Pelor, and it is very large, very ostentatious, as the Allfather is wants to do. Allfather? No. What's his title?
He likes light-based names like his Radiance or Oh Shining One.
Hammer Dude. Yep, that's the one.
Yes, Hammer Dude.
Light Daddy.
Light Daddy, yes!
Oh,
I forgot about Light Daddy.
Oh no.
That's not a thing, Ember.
Oh no. The Dawn Father is his title, by the way.
Yes, that makes more sense. I forgot about that one.
No, the Allfather is a different deity, but he's the Dawn Father. No, it's the Dawn Father and the Allhammer. Allhammer being Moradin, the god of
Allspark?
dwarves. Shigun, I gave your family reputation. I can take it right away.
I'd prefer if you didn't.
Alrighty, so Rurik.
For your unearned success.
Yes. Rurik,
The
you...
last thing is Gary Oakfall.
His name's not Gary. It's
Gary motherfucking Oak.
it's Larry Birch. So you make your way over to the temple. Do anybody else go with you, or do you go alone? I should say, do you invite anyone with you?
I mean, anyone is welcome to join if they wish.
Okay.
I don't intend to be very long.
You know what? I'm a bit curious. I'll go.
Okay.
Oh, good, we can convert you.
No, that's what's not happening.
As you're having this conversation, Prudence says, Hoyd isn't allowed at the temple after the incident. And then goes back to packing stuff up in the cart.
Oh. Okay.
Which, you've known Hoyd exactly as long as Prudence has, so...
I know. Which is, like, funny.
This is not the Goatman incident.
So you and Zook, Shigun, are you gonna go with as well, or are you gonna stay with the cart?
I'll go with. Why not?
Okay. So Rurik, Shigun, and Zook. Let's go and split you off.
What is the party?
I mean, yeah. But you're in a city, so it's fine. Nothing ever happens in cities.
Never.
Yeah.
Our entire showdown took place underneath the city.
I blew up a dude in this city with my ring. Remember that?
Right, that
No,
time
I
you-
don't. No, I don't remember that.
The wizard and I was the rogue.
Yeah.
That was a weird session.
Yes, it was.
That was here, wasn't it? Shit. Yeah,
Yes, it was.
I do remember
Well, we
that.
misted a cultist.
You misted somebody, yes. Alrighty, so the rest of you all make your way.
Yep. Yeah, this town.
The town with the cult. Yeah.
Our family.
Shigun, did you check on that person's family?
Maybe I should later.
So, Rurik, you, Shigun, and Zook all make your way to the temple. And, the doors are open. You can see there's some people milling around. There are a couple of acolytes here and there, speaking quietly to various worshippers. And you, as you walk in, remind me, you're not wearing the Dwarven plate. Does your shield have the symbol of Pelor on it? I forget.
I believe it does, yes.
That's right. So as you sort of approach, one of the, most of the acolytes take notice of you because you are the most heavily armed person within 10 square blocks. But one of them in particular that happens to not be speaking to somebody already kind of perks up and you can see very visibly takes notice of you and sort of rushes inside the temple as you approach. And when you get to the doorway, the individual, you can see he's wearing the traditionally fairly plain white robe, but has a very sort of gaudy and how do I even describe it? Like well-trimmed yellow gold sort of sash hanging over his shoulders. He's got a little hat, as priests tend to do. And the high priest of the temple comes in to greet you, and he says, "Welcome, travelers. What might the Dawn Father have for you today?" He gives a almost a bow, but more like a partial nod to Rurik, and acknowledges Shigun and Zook, but not nearly to the same degree.
Greetings, brother. I'm here to look for specific spell scrolls you might have, and also to offer a brief prayer.
Ah, you seek the services then. Very well. And he kind of beckons you to come inside.
I will follow.
Okay. So you you make your way into the temple, and you see, there's a number of acolytes all over the place. There's a few of the lower priests are preparing for various rituals and prayers and so on. The acolytes are around, polishing the floors, which are mostly made of marble. It's very ostentatious. You're cleaning off the statues of Pelor and so on, all which you are aware of, you've seen before. They all share the same characteristic of this large figure in a set of plate armor with either no head at all or a helmet with no face inside of it. And you make your way over to one side of the temple, one of the rooms off to the side of the temple, and the priest knocks on the door, and a very, very small, what appears to be goblinoid of some kind, individual opens the door, and she says, "Yes, oh," and it notices you, Rurik, and the high priest nods, and the librarian, she's the librarian, opens the door the rest of the way, and she says, "We have heard of you, Rurik Lightweather. You have brought much glory to the Dawnfather. How might this humble librarian be of service to you?"
I give a small grateful bow, and I'm looking for a spell scroll for a greater restoration spell. I was wondering if you might have one.
You mentioned the spell, and her face kind of drops a little bit. She says, "I know not that the transcribing of these spells is something that may be done. It can certainly be done upon request, but it will take some time. If you perhaps are in need of the services, we could provide them for a fee. There are other scrolls that we have available. Unfortunately, Keswick she kind of glances over your shoulder at the retreating back of the High Priest, is, shall we say, perhaps not the most generous when it comes to keeping such scrolls in our inventory, if you will.
I understand.
So basically, they can perform Greater Restoration services and can scribe scrolls for you. They just don't have any at the moment.
Right. What were the timing?
I hold on. I whisper to Rurik. Or actually, no, I message to Rurik. Why does he sound like he's an assassin?
She?
Why does she? Yeah, sorry, I missed that. Why does she sound like she's an assassin?
Librarian. She's adorable.
Yeah, she's probably like 30 years old, which is 1,000,000 in goblin years. So, she's got a hunch, and she has a small cane.
Yeah, but there's
resting most of her weight on.
I'm detecting a lot of, like being vague about services, like that sort of thing. I'm detecting a lot of that, and I'm very confused.
So, in Zook's eyes, perhaps, Rurik, with your familiarity with the church, she's not being vague. That's just kind of what they call it. But Zook, with your unfamiliarity with this particular religious institution, that may be the impression that you're getting.
That is the impression that I'm getting. It's like, what?
But she does offer you a selection of spell scrolls. It's basically any cleric spell up to, I believe, 4th level is more or less readily available, and they can do up to 6th level, but it will take time to scribe them.
Okay.
Is the short version of what they offer in terms of spell scrolls.
Okay then, I might have.
You a little quiet there.
Sorry, I'm thinking. I might have something in mind. Let me check a thing real quick. Do spell scrolls that require consumable spells that require consumable components, are those needed for spell scrolls?
They are not. The scroll takes the place of any material components. Because those components are consumed in the creation of the scroll. So they're basically pre-made for you.
Gotcha.
Oh, and I just realized now Prudence has just said that in the text chat. But yeah, basically when they're making the scroll, which Prudence you would know very well, Rurik, I don't believe you ever have done this, but when creating a spell scroll, you more or less do a very long form version of casting the spell, and then imbue that energy into a scroll or gem or wand or whatever item you're creating.
That makes sense. I had a feeling that's what it was. I just wanted to clarify.
Mm-hmm. So basically, they offer first level spell scrolls for 350 gold pieces. Second for 1,500. They scale up real quick.
Oh, dang, yeah, they do.
Third level spells. So I'm going to quote a list of prices, and then asterisk, you have a reputation and both get a better price and can probably haggle if you want to.
Okay.
Traditionally, third level spell scrolls are 4,000 gold pieces, and fourth level spell scrolls are 8,000. For you, these prices are 350, 1,000, 3,000, and 6,500. Relatively speaking. So it is somewhat significantly discounted, if you will, for being more or less a paragon of the faith. And of note, there are a number of other martially oriented clerics and a number of paladins in the temple, and as you were walking past, being escorted by the high priest, almost all of them gave you some sort of gesture of deferment and respect. Your
To those I would
reputation.
nod in turn and like react accordingly.
So you acknowledge them. Your reputation is very clearly preceding you.
Dang, the prices for those are a lot more than what I was expecting. Like what I was thinking about doing is actually less. I'm trying to think of a spell that I might want that would be worth having it in the form of a spell scroll, but I'm having difficulty thinking of one.
Well, the upside to a spell scroll is that it's basically a free spell slot.
Yes. And that's what I'm doing.
Alrighty. So while you're sort of having this, I will actually say, why don't we do the actual shopping bit during off time, so you can have time to think about what it is that you want.
Okay, that's fair. I did have one other thing that I was going to do while I was here that isn't. So we will.
Okay. So you conclude your transaction, and Kira, you learn her name to be. Kira says, and what other services may we be able to provide to you, Rurik Lightweather? It's weird. Every time she refers to you, she always says your full name.
I'm not used to that. The only fullness of a name I'm used to is Dr. Dwarf. I wanted to take a moment to kneel at the altar for a prayer, but before I do, I wanted to ask if anyone here might know anything of Androlynne.
Of Androlynne.
Is it Androlynne or Androlynne?
It's
I don't
Androlynne.
know how to okay.
Which,
Cool.
I mean, admittedly, you've only ever seen it written before, so... although, no, Prudence has heard it spoken, so Prudence is familiar with the pronunciation. But yeah, Androlynne, and when you ask about that, she kind of perks up a little and strains her back a little bit as she does so. And she, Androlynne, and I see you are having interest in the layers of the abyss.
I assure you, it is not one born out of an eclectic interest.
She kind of waves you off. Says, "Of course, of course. Well, we have quite a collection of information that may be of value to you." She starts to shuffle off and starts pulling down a few tomes here and there and flipping through them. You can see she... trying to remember. She... as she is sort of collecting these things, her very, petite frame, she reaches up toward one of the upper shelves for something and flicks her wrist, and the object kind of just falls to her, and she catches it and reads it, and she says, and what sort of information about these places are you looking to find?
I am seeking a means of a ritual to restore souls that have been trapped as the result of a demonic ritual, and my current lead is Androlynne. I don't have much other information to go on.
Interesting. As a small cutaway, Zook and Shigun, are you guys doing anything during this, or just sort of like awkwardly standing to the side listening?
I am being very careful to do absolutely nothing.
Okay. You kind of like, you're holding your hands in front of you, like it's very tightly clasping them together, just in case you get that urge.
I'm also just kind of there, but I'm not being so, I guess, obvious with my nothing because I have nothing to be afraid of.
Okay, so you're just sort of passively observing your surroundings and keeping an eye on stuff.
Justification if it's in the altar.
All right. So you guys are sort of you're around more or less. And I forgot to write something down, so I just have to double check something. Yeah, me not prepare? What? And she pulls down another scroll and starts more or less reading off of it. And she says that the what of the layer do you know? Is there where should I begin? I suppose I'm asking.
I'm not sure how best to answer that. I would offer whatever information I could regarding what it is I'm trying to research and for which purpose it's for.
Okay. Which more or less you've kind of already given what it is you're looking for. So she starts to sort of read off of the scroll. And go ahead.
Would anyone mind if I clarify a character detail?
Sure.
Okay, Zook is not scared of the acolytes the way Zook is scared of wizards. Like, wizards are scary, but like acolytes are nice, but also seem like they're the type to like take things very seriously and might like jump to conclusions, and I'm trying to like not accidentally knock down any dominoes, you know?
Okay. Yeah, you're nervous about your own behavior. You're not nervous about them doing something, really.
Yeah, no, like worst worst thing that might happen to me is like I say something wrong and they're like, "No, there's a problem," and then they put me in like jail.
Okay.
I don't know if they would do that. That's just, I'm imagining that they would do that.
Well, who knows? Who knows what the acolytes of a chaotic good god will do? Alrighty. So, as she begins to read off, she sort of clicks into a lecturer.
Wait, I thought Palor was lawful.
Is he? I don't think so. I thought he was chaotic.
I think it was lawful neutral.
I don't know, honestly.
I don't remember.
He's good.
He's neutral good.
Neutral good. That was it.
Who am I thinking of that's the chaotic good one? I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Is that Hieronius?
Obviously, it's the Godfather.
The Godfather is very specifically lawful evil. Anyway, we can get into this discussion about the alignments of pop culture characters later.
Sorry, I didn't know that was an extra.
Oh, yeah, no, like the movie, the Godfather. No, okay. Anyway.
I got it.
Anyway, she starts to more or less read off of the scroll, and she says, Androlynne is interesting. It's one of the very few places within the Abyss where good seems to reside and call itself its home. The layer itself was originally a realm of the Eladrin, which you know to be these celestial beings. They're fey celestial beings. And they ward against and destroyed the demons. Yeah, the demons called the Obriths, and I can get you the spelling of these. Following their takeover, if you will, of the plane, they made a pact with the Lord Pale Knight, and unfortunately it seemed that the pact was a trick, and they ended up condemning an entire generation of the children of the Eladrin to be trapped in a nightmare realm that Androlynne eventually grew to become, that the Pale Knight and what remained of her allies to hunt down and kill at their leisure. However, due to the anger that was wrought upon them, soon other celestial beings began to force their way into the lair. It is very generally inaccessible to us mortals, but there are ways of making your way into this lair, should you perhaps know the way. I know not specifically of any soul binding rituals related to the lair, and she starts to shuffle between a whole bunch of different tomes and scrolls, but there may be someone there to help you, or
You
perhaps
mean within the lair itself?
yes. Well, it is said that the Pale Knight is somewhat of an uneasy ally with the Demon Lord Baphomet. So perhaps there may be some kind of connection there. It is difficult. There is not very much information that manages to make its way out of the abyss. It is something of a void, if you will. Pelor's light does not and cannot shine within it. And yet, these creatures have managed to carve out a light within the darkness.
The creatures being the Eladrin?
The Eladrin, the other celestial beings that have made Androlynne their home in an attempt to rescue or at least protect the children of the Eladrin, yes. I am sorry I have not much information to give you, only what our scholars have collected over the generations, but
Even
perhaps...
so, I greatly appreciate it. I believe it will be of some help.
You see her lips part in something of a broken, wide smile. She says, I am glad to have been of service to a paladin of our Lord. And then she stops, and she's not a paladin? My apologies. You are perhaps one of the most interesting clerics I've ever met.
I'm just trying to be a good man to do good things.
She kind of reaches up and gives you a pat on the elbow and says, our Lord has a plan for you, as he does for all. But perhaps you were meant to do something. Well, is there anything else that I might be able to assist you with?
I think that will be all for now. Thank you.
Very good. I believe you know the way, and you are familiar with the vague layout of most of the temples. They all sort of follow the same floor plan, although this one is somewhat significantly larger than the other temples you've been in before. So,
I will bow gratefully and make my way back out and towards the main central altar.
Okay. So you make your way out with Zook and Shigun, and make your way out. You said you were going out to the central area, or are you leaving?
I'm going out to the central altar area.
That's right. Okay. Yeah, so you return to what is essentially the main sort of worshipping chamber. There are, rows of... Yeah, there are, rows of pews. There's probably a dozen people in the room just sitting quietly on them in silent prayer. There's a number of acolytes that appear to be preparing the altar up at the front of the room for some sort of service or ritual.
Rurik.
Yes.
What exactly is your station here?
I don't particularly have a station in any given specific temple. I am just simply, I am the hand of my lord, and I seek to do his bidding where I can.
Well, they all seem to pay you a lot of respect, so...
That's, admittedly a bit of a surprise to me as well, but I am simply trying to do my best. I have been given a mission by Paylor, and I will see it through.
Okay, thanks.
Alrighty. So you head into this central chamber, and do you just sort of go off on your own? Do you go to the altar? How is it that you choose to attempt to commune or more, offer a prayer?
I will make my way up to towards the front of the chamber, not up on the altar, but before it. And I will.
Yeah,
I will take out my warhammer and place it on the ground with the shaft vertical and kneel before the altar, and I will say a prayer to Paylor. O Shining One, we thank you for delivering us safely on our journey thus far, and may your blessed radiance guide us ever onward as we seek answers, right the wrongs of people.
Alright.
Rurik, you're a little quiet.
Sorry.
I did hear what you said. It was just a little quiet. So as you speak these words aloud, there's one of the acolytes nearby sort of takes notice and also pauses and sort of bows their head and nods along with you as you speak, and it does a very quick mutter of something after you're done speaking, and then resumes their duties. One of the priests that was off to the side had sort of paused to listen, and you can see when you stand back up and look around, they are nodding with approval. And there are a number of worshippers around you who hadn't necessarily been paying that much attention, but you get a feel for the rest of the room, and it feels lighter than when you entered.
Is this as in less heavy, or did it get brighter?
It's a lightness of spirit, more so.
Less emotionally intense, okay.
Sure, if that's how you choose to interpret it.
Then, after having said my piece and just generally acknowledge the room, I will lastly make my way over to wherever they might have like collections or such things, and I will make
the tithing bowl. Yes.
Yes, that's the word I was looking for. Tithing, yes. And I would like to make a donation of 100 gold to the church.
Okay, so you go up to the sort of, it's a about dinner plate size. It's about 8 inches in diameter. This sort of brass plate with a small felt lining on the bottom, and it's just sort of like on a pedestal as you enter the room, and you put 100 gold pieces into this plate, which does actually fill the majority of the plate. It's sort of like got this concave bowl port. It's like a, what are they even called? Like a pasta dish, I guess, where it has that sort of concavity to it. Anyway, it basically fills the majority of that space. And the acolyte who had been, attending to it, making sure that no ruffians try to run off with it, you see their eyes go wide and, thank you.
I'm just simply paying it forward.
Alrighty, and as you leave, the acolyte, you can hear, has picked up the dish and is bringing it elsewhere. So you make your way out of the temple, being acknowledged most of the way as you go. And yeah, the city is yours. It is getting close to evening time. You have spent the majority of the day here. It's probably early evening or so.
That concludes my business.
What was the name of the inn that we were sequestered in by the Lawmaster?
Oh, man. Let's see. That was a while back.
Was it the Purple Palace or was it Maroon?
Oh, it was the
Maroon.
it was the Maroon Mansion. That's right.
Okay, that's where.
No, the one that smelled of that one particular.
It wasn't.
That is where
actually,
Hoyt is right now.
It wasn't actually the place that they wanted to put you up, but it's the place that you went. I remember now.
Yes.
Yes.
That is where Hoyt is.
Okay, so Hoyt, after helping Prudence pack the cart up, providing moral support for Prudence packing the cart up.
Obviously. Giving him aid.
Do you do both of you head over to the Maroon Mansion? I mean, you obviously, but Prudence, do you follow along and I assume bring the cart with? Okay, so you stay more or less in the same area as the apothecary with the cart, and Hoyd goes off as he does, the bastard.
Whistling, splitting the party.
Somebody has to make that a thing. Somebody has to make that a song now. Now that you said it.
It is. It is.
Oh,
yes.
Fuck. Of course it is.
I will go find the link.
It's gonna be It's gonna be your guys' friggin' theme song, by the way. I can count on one hand the amount of things that we've done in the last 2 months with you guys all in the same place. Group-wide encounters? What's that?
Oh my god, I just saw
there's combat and technically shopping, sort of.
Yeah, so that's 2 things.
So that's 2 things.
Yeah, that's one hand still.
Yeah, but it's 2 things.
Well, if you have no fingers, I guess it's 2 hands, but...
I take offense. It says keep clerics in the back. Excuse me, I have the highest AC of all of us.
So, you guys finish up at the temple. Are you... Hoyd, during this time period, this was actually a... it didn't take Prudence particularly long to pack up the cart. He is fastidious to a fault, but he is good at what he does. So you kind of went off. Is there anything in particular you wanted to do at the mansion, or are you just kind of bumming around until the party gets there?
Just hanging around, drinking wine, and being a nuisance.
Okay. So you are a nuisance at the Maroon Mansion, as you do.
Hopefully the bartender remembers me from the clean glass incident.
Yes. Well, one of them anyway. One of the bartenders would remember you for that. The one that was there. Who happens to be the one who's here tonight. Older gentleman. With the other bartenders. Well, the two evening bartenders. There's an older gentleman and a younger woman. Both of whom you met last time. And they don't immediately recognize you. They see a lot of people, but about 10 minutes goes by and you make yourself known as only you can do, and eventually you can see the look of recognition in the older gentleman's eyes as suddenly the repressed memories all come flooding back.
Wonderful.
So as you're doing this, the group is finishing up at the temple, and they return to, Prudence, and you guys come up to Prudence. You can see the I'm gonna read this off because this is great. You can see that Prudence has taken a lot of effort to ensure everything is securely and compactly packed. There's enough room to store whatever in there, but it distributes the weight equally among the axles and the corners. He makes sure, there are places to sit. And as you guys approach, he just says, "I've arranged everything in the carriage. Don't use it for anything and ruin my work." But that's the wrong voice. Sorry.
Carriages are made to be reused, Prudence.
I used Vex's voice there instead of Prudence's voice, but
Well, thank you for the effort.
maybe you should organize the items on the carriage next then.
I don't mean I don't appreciate the organizing the items on the carriage. I just feel there's a sense of practicality that must be had here.
I see. That's all right then. What did you do at the temple?
I wanted to inquire about a spell commission, and also I wanted to see if anyone there might know anything of Androlynne. And based off of what I heard, I can't help but wonder if the answer to what I seek might involve traveling to Androlynne.
I don't think we can do that just yet. The abyss is quite the treacherous and difficult place to reach, Prudence says. He kind of gives Deer a little scratch behind her wings. The catbird.
Yeah, that's what concerns me. Still have much yet to ponder.
We could send Hoyd. He seems to have the capacity for this.
Are you sure you want to send Hoyd alone to that place? Who knows what he'll do?
No, I'm saying he might want to volunteer.
Prudence kind of muses. Technically not a place, considering how it's a manifestation of philosophical ideals, but it's close enough.
So it's library. If it were as simple as a library, this would be a lot easier.
Or an archive, perhaps.
I heard
You
that.
shut it. You shut it.
I
Sorry.
heckin' heard that.
I gotta figure out a way. Prudence doesn't say anything to dispel that notion. I do need to figure out a way to get a typing notification to make it more obvious that Prudence is typing and we're not just sitting here doing nothing.
Yeah, that would be nice if we could do that on the screen.
Alrighty. So you converse with Prudence a little bit, catch him up. Where to?
Where did Hoyd go? I hear pony music.
I have gone back through every video. Every single time this song comes up, one of you says something about it. Every single time. It's been a year.
Well, maybe you should remove it from the playlist.
I can't help it. They have good music.
But it's more fun this way. Princess, we should leave immediately before he realizes we're gone.
Like it's a bad RPG background song. Like it breaks immersion immediately.
I don't think it does. I think it's great.
That would be no, that would be if I play The Only Thing They Fear Is You.
Well, it breaks character.
Like I wanted to your first combat with the cultists.
Oh, that's sleight of hand.
So Hoyd, you're off busy tipping the bartender a silver piece, which is actually still quite a bit. And you quickly sleight a hand of platinum instead, and he takes a couple of steps away, and then realizes the difference in weight of the coin and looks at it, and says, and turns to say something to you, but you kind of wave him off. Prudence,
I just simply ignore that he was even looking at me.
Yeah. Prudence says we should leave immediately. I'll alert Hoyd if you agree.
That's fine with me. What time of day was it again? Starting the early evening?
Wait,
Yeah.
leave immediately before who?
It's about early evening, yeah.
Are you referring to leaving town and getting back on the road for a bit, or retiring for the night?
Before who realizes we're gone? I missed that part?
Princess, that's correct. We should get on the
Are you
road.
suggesting we ditch Hoyd?
It was a joke. It was Hoyd.
I just want to figure out what
Could,
inn we're staying at. What's our lodging?
we don't need to stay at an inn. We can just camp.
Staying at an inn is camping. It's just better. Why sleep on the ground like 12 paces from the town wall when we can find a bed like here? It's not like we can't afford it.
Staying in an inn.
It's just really fancy camping.
Princess,
Fancy camping.
Princess, I'm not going to sleep for 5 more hours.
Well, you can camp if you want.
I mean, that's still 5 hours of potential travel, and we do have a fairly long way to go still.
Do you intend on pulling the cart?
I mean, Not manually. We have horses for that.
I was asking Prudence.
Princess, fine. Is anyone else coming, or should I take the cart alone?
I shall join. Because I am also of the mind that we should probably leave soon.
Is Prudence gonna carry the cart? I'm assuming Prudence is gonna direct the cart while the rest of us, like, sleep in the back. Okay. Alright. Where's Hoyd?
I mean, we don't need to. We still.
Where is Hoyd, indeed?
Still plenty of time left. What about the smartwatch?
I was hoping at least for a drink.
Here we go.
Although, to be fair, you did spend part of the day taverning, so you have gotten a drink.
Well, yeah, but then I spend, like, 2 hours in a church.
You didn't have to come with me.
I
So-
did,
Feel
but
all
I
dirty
did.
afterward?
So, Hoyd, you hear Prudence's voice in the back of your head with sending, and he says, we're leaving as soon as possible. Please come back.
It's nice to feel wanted. And I will head back to where we were.
Okay. So there's a couple minutes of you guys bickering is not the right way to put it, but you're having a lively conversation. And eventually Hoyd returns to the cart. You can see Prudence sitting up in the cart.
Hello and welcome back.
Why, thank you.
If our business is concluded, I believe we should be on our way again.
If I have something with which to drink water, I'm going to get some water and then use prestidigitation to clean and then cool the water.
Do you
I have a number of vials. You can use one of those.
I was gonna say, do you have
I think I have, like...
water skin, I think?
I think... let me check.
Don't you have one of those infinite decanter pitcher things?
I don't, not that I recall.
It's a magician thing.
I don't, but I should. That's a good idea. But no, I don't have one of those.
Just sorry, not to interrupt, but as an aside, I just realized the tailor was actually not in Forge End. The tailor is in the next town, Nineveh. Just so you know. Nothing's changed with the price or timing. Well, the timing obviously has changed, but nothing's changed with the price. But just as a heads up,
I have a water skin as
your
part of the
cape
burglar's pack.
is in the next town, so... yeah, so you have your water skin, and you find a supply somewhere that's probably questionable, but you use prestidigitation to make it less questionable.
What a great description. Everyone has a cup, and Hoyd is...
Alrighty. So are you guys heading out? Is that the plan? You're following along with what Prudence said? Oh yeah, I can put you guys back together now.
I think that's the case.
I'm just getting some water and then drinking some water and then going to sleep.
Okay.
Okay. So, are we on the road yet?
Yeah. Yeah, you'd be on the road. Are you still traveling at a fast pace?
I thought we were at a regular pace.
I recall you guys were traveling at a fast pace because you have no need for stealth, but it's also, you know, it generates awareness. So between Pitchfield and Bren, you were traveling at a fast pace. But are you still going to be going that way, or are you going to be moving at a normal pace from here on?
I think normal pace is fine.
I agree with what Prudence mentioned, that normal pace would be better at night.
Okay. So you guys head out at a normal pace. A number of the as per what you've come to expect almost at this point. A number of the guards kind of hail you as you leave and give you gestures of acknowledgement. And you make your way out of the city and out into the countryside, heading off toward Fandaulo. It takes you about 3 days for you to reach Ford's End, the next town, which you know to be right. Meow. Right? Is it right? Yeah, right there. And you, do you spend any major amount of time here? There is... The main thing that you would recall from Ford's End is this is where Sibelius is.
Got it. Are we traveling overnight? Or are we sleeping overnight? Sleeping at night?
I'd imagine we would sleep overnight at some point. That would be appropriate.
I mean, you're traveling on a major road, so other than someone needing to be awake to watch the horses, no.
What about exhaustion?
Well, so whoever stayed up. This type of resting would sort of fall under the same category as resting in armor. So if you had exhaustion, then this type of rest wouldn't replenish it. But at this point, most of you are pretty well seasoned to travel on the road. Of note, the cart won't actually fit all of you lying down. So you'll either have to take turns sleeping, which may disrupt some things, or you'll have to stop.
I think we should stop for the night and camp somewhere.
The cart with all of your stuff will probably fit like one of you lying down and sleeping at a time.
Can't we like keep going while most of us are sleeping, or will that tire the horses out?
Well, that's the concern. There just isn't enough room, like floor space, in the cart to fit all of you.
No, the horses. Like we can like swap out every so often.
I mean, yeah, the horses will need to rest eventually. Yeah,
Okay.
You can't drive them for 3 days straight without letting the horses rest. Which, by the way, have you guys been keeping track of your feed? How much feed you have for the horses?
No, they're probably dead by now, though.
I'm gonna guess that's a no.
I'm just going to assume that like we're ignoring that.
I mean, if it's important, while we're doing travel and whatnot, I could make a point to have a spell slot prepared for food and water.
That'll cover it.
Yeah, that works.
Just have that.
Okay, so you use create food and water to sort of cover both your horses and you.
And those of you with prestidigitation can change it to make it taste better. Magic salt.
We got plenty of that.
But nobody has Goodberry.
Yeah, nobody's the second best class in the game. What a shame.
You can't be talking about druids.
What is Goodberry?
It's a spell that allows you to summon good berries, which essentially take the place of rations, and they heal a couple hit points.
Oh, that's cool.
I hear they're pretty good berries.
The other party found a
Well,
great
not the
berry
best
once.
berries.
Actually,
Really?
I think the other party still has a couple great berries. Anyway.
Didn't know there was a thing. Anyway.
They are now. Alrighty. So you guys make your way into Ford's End.
I do have something to do overnight.
Okay. What is it you're doing overnight?
I will take one of the watches, and I will throw out another one of those furry balls.
Oh no.
Okay. So sure, yeah, you go and during one of your night watches, toss out one of the balls out of your bag of tricks, and a rat appears.
The second I learn of this, I'm stealing that thing from him.
So a rat appears?
Yep, just a single rat.
Oh, that's not at all what I wanted. I will cast Dissonant Whispers on it.
You'll cast... Okay, that's a wisdom save?
15?
Holy moly, they have a wisdom of 10?
What?
That's the wisdom of an average commoner.
That's okay, he rolled a 4, so Dissonant Whispers
Excellent.
takes effect. Go ahead and roll a d4 for its hit points. d4 minus 1, I should say.
It has 1 health.
So it has 1 health. And you cast Dissonant Whispers.
Takes 12 damage.
And it dies.
Its head explodes. Or just oozes. Or whatever we want to say.
Well,
How do you want to do this?
for this type of thing, it actually
just stops.
It would stop and then dissipate.
Interesting.
They disappear.
I didn't know
when they
that's what
die.
happened.
Yeah, the creature vanishes when it is reduced to 0 hit points.
I like that. Disappears in a puff of logic.
Alrighty. So, you experiment with the bag of tricks.
Yes.
Alrighty. So you, let me see.
I would like to meet the Sovellus. You keep talking about him.
Alrighty. So you, okay. So that works. So as you guys come into, Ford's End, Prudence, Prudence mentions that, I've promised to talk to Sovellus, so I'll head there immediately, and without prompting from anybody else, he heads out. And Hoyd, as you ask about Sovellus, Prudence says, he's an old man. I think your type is younger and more muscular.
He just call you gay?
I'm not sure.
I like it.
You just met one of the most heavily muscled women you've ever seen. Just want to say.
Who?
Elaine Mordegag, the blacksmith.
Oh, yes. That's right.
With her fabulous beard.
How could I forget every single character I come across?
Yeah, it's not like you spent an hour and a half bartering with her or anything.
I would like to accompany Prudence to meet Sovellus.
I would also like to accompany Prudence.
Wait, are we in Ninebeck now? Are we in Ford's End?
Ford's End.
Yeah, you're in Ford's End. So Prudence is heading to see Sovellus. Just to make the question easier, does anyone not go with him?
I will go with them just to ensure the party doesn't split again.
I'm going carousing.
Carousing?
Okay, you go carousing. There
What is
are
carousing?
a number of taverns available to you. There's the Oarsman Respite, which you've been in before. Oarsman's Respite, right on the water there.
How was the Orman's Respite?
I mean, it's the nicer one. Owned by Amara. She was displeased with Hoyd's appearance, but humored him.
I'm gonna go and I'm gonna like perform there and have a time.
Okay, we'll come to that in a little bit.
That was-
Prudence,
Basically, nothing happens there. You can skip that
Thank
thing.
you.
more or less. Prudence, you send you give Sibelius a warning. You sending, so that he has the door prepared and ready. And remarks, Sibelius has had many locks on his door, so warning him seems wise. And Sibelius returns back with your sending spell. You can see he says, "Oh, very good. I will be awaiting your arrival." And you make your way over to the tower. The oddly shaped, semi-conical lighthouse, more or less. Also, Zook, you are off doing your own thing. And on your approach to the tower, yes, on your approach to the tower, the first half of the locks on his door have been undone. Now you approach the tower, and you can hear from the inside, as you walk up to it, each of the locks kind of unlatches one at a time, going down the door. And the door opens, and before you stands the aged elven figure of Sibelius. You can see this time he's wearing the same robe he was on last time. It was sort of like a faint blue-ish robe. He has a pair of almost ruby lensed spectacles that he's wearing. And Hoyd, are you using the glamour to polish it, or are you actually polishing it?
I'm going to use the glamour to polish it.
Okay. You oops, that's not on here. Hang on one second.
I would like to greet Sibelius as well.
Okay.
And I will give him a extremely deep bow and say quite loudly, "Greetings, Ancient One! We have come here to seek your wisdom!"
And he cuts you off and turns to Prudence and says, "Where did you find this one?" Prudence says, "Good afternoon. I've come here as quickly as I could." Prudence says, we found him at the loudspeaker store. I mean, he is old. He's not exactly hard of hearing. He's old, like, he's an elf and has wrinkles, so he's old. But nonetheless, he invites all of you inside, and you all sort of pile in, and interestingly, the room that you entered this time is not the same room you entered in the first time. Where before there were sort of books lining the walls and a small fireplace, this room is a bit more stark. It appears more formal, almost. The floor, instead of being this sort of polished wood panel, is a stark marble. There's a pair of sort of sconces on either side of the wall that just have this sort of flame coming out of it. Unlike previously, where the light sort of seemed to come from everywhere, now there is a specific light source, and you make your way into the room. But as before, you see there are exactly enough chairs for everybody, and he sort of gestures you to sit. There's a off to the one side of the room, there's actually not just a door, but the exact same door that was in the previous room on the other side of the room. So Prudence, you dismiss Deer, and you sit, and as before, the chair practically rises to meet you and is almost exactly at the perfect height for you to sit. And each of you, one by one, sits down in the chairs. And they... so Rurik, originally, they were actually all the same height, but as you approach, it lowers to accommodate your height. And when you're sitting on it, for the first time in a long time, your feet are actually touching the ground when you're sitting.
Oh, that's really nice. I like magic chairs.
Same for Zook as well. The chairs are sort of adjusted to your height.
I'm not in this scene.
Oh, that's right. You've fucked off and you're taverning.
No, right now he's bageling.
That's right. Right now you're bageling. So this room, Hoyd, the previous room that they had been in sort of had books along the walls. This room, there is nothing on the walls. Actually, there is a map.
Did he learn his lesson?
There's a map on the wall of what appears to be not just Sundi, but the entire western continent.
Interesting. The entire western continent?
Yeah, so it stretches from just south of the vast swamp in the south, and it goes all the way up to the top of the northern border of the Great Kingdom in the north.
Okay.
Stretching about as far westward as Kaoland, which encompasses a very large portion of the Azure Sea as well. And
So roughly pages 38, 39?
Yes, the Blue Sea.
Yes, the Azure Sea. Any interesting pins on the map? So Prudence, actually, you take a look over at the map, and now I have to look because there is an actual thing here. Yeah, so it encompasses a square area of 45. The area of 45 to 31. That whole space there. It's a pretty big map. Encompassing the North Kingdom and all that. Let's see, where was I? Let me put these markers back on here. You're here. Oh no, it was the other way. Red is Fandaulo, green is you. So, there are no pins exactly on the map, but you do see a number of points that have been... it's kind of weird. Like, they're not exactly dots that have been drawn onto the page, and when you look at them sidelong, they seem to shift ever so slightly. But there are these sort of inked dots that are moving very, very slowly on the map. You can see there are, how many would there be? There are 7 of them on the map, just in various places around. You can see one is at Ford's End. One is up in Alyssa. There's, they're just around the map. So Hoyd, there are no collections, but there is this map.
Okay, I'm fascinated by the map.
And
Tell me, Svelis, what do these represent? These dots here.
Well, I have a reason to keep tabs on others such as myself. And he, with a flick of his wrist, he dismisses all of them except the one dot centered on Ford's End. There are where people like us tend to go. Events seem to follow. It is my duty, as the keeper of this lighthouse, to make sure nothing too out of the realm of possibility happens.
So this dot here, is this representing you or someone else?
He gives you a smirk and does not respond.
I thought so. So how long have you been following?
As you're saying this, Prudence takes the soul jar out of his pack and shows it to Sibelius and says, "Look what the Dream Eater had." And Sibelius turns and takes it and sort of runs his hand across one of the metallic end caps. He says, Curious. Very curious. You found this with the demon. Interesting. Very interesting.
Prudence is typing, by the way.
Yep. I'm just filling the air. Prudence nods. I've not seen one of these for quite some time. Not in this form, certainly. This type of trapping, if you will, is extremely powerful magic. It is concerning that a creature such as what sounds like somewhat lowly demon to have access to these abilities.
So you're saying this is atypical of...
This type of magic that I'm familiar with tends to imbue the caster, their essence and their soul into a reliquary or an object, and it preserves them almost. But I believe you've mentioned in your communications that not only does this device potentially house other souls, but it also seems to erode the body. And Prudence, when he has a moment to cut in, says, and it still has a soul, or more, inside. What do you recommend we do? And at that moment, Savelis quickly hands the soul jar back to you, Prudence, and says, right, yes, and he snaps his fingers, and you see the door on the other side of the room open, and a folded, sealed parchment letter floats over and into his hand, and he hands the parchment to you, Prudence. And the seal on the missive, if you will, as you're looking at it, you currently have no free hands because you are holding the soul jar. But taking a glance on it as you're packing the soul jar away, you recognize the seal. You recognize the emblem. It's not one you've seen for quite some time. I don't remember the specific description. I don't know if he ever gave it to me, but it was the emblem of your mentor. Yes. Whose name I am totally blanking on right now. Callista, thank you. So once you've packed the soul jar away, you take the missive from Savelis and you open it. And first, two things happen. Before you open it, you say, how do you have this? And Savelis says, it was brought to me. Well, I can't exactly say courier, if you will, but the one who delivered it to me mentioned that they were looking for you and wanted you to have this, and had found that you had made your presence known here. And Prudence, you say, so you said earlier. And Savelis nods and says, well, that's exactly how it is. Prudence says, well, let's find out what's inside then. And you open it up. So two things happen. First, as you open the missive, there is a very bright, nearly blinding flash of light. So everyone except Prudence, make a Constitution saving throw, please.
Oh boy.
Including
I
Savelis.
I was joking.
Oh, yeah, no. I'm not. Everyone
So-
except Prudence needs to make a Constitution saving throw. Prudence, you see the light, but you're not actually affected by it. All right. So what's everyone's results?
Hoyt is 12.
Shigun is 13.
And Rurik is 19. Sorry, 22. I rolled a
22.
19.
Okay.
20.
And Sibelius, fortunately, got a 15. None of you are particularly affected. There is a bit of an after image, and you all sort of have to like shield your eyes and are reeling for a moment, but are otherwise unaffected.
The heck was that?
And Prudence, the second thing that happens is in the after image of the light, there is a what you recognize to be a Princess. I should probably have warned you. Wizards always secure their puzzles. One of these days, I'll get that accent right. In the after image, the parchment itself is blank. There's nothing on it. But in the after image, and it retains, it sticks in your memory. There is a it's kind of a magic circle, which you're familiar with, but you recognize it's not a teleportation circle per se. It is a series of glyphs and runes. It is, primarily a like a spell recipe, basically. But it is shaped and formatted in the arrangement of what would otherwise be a teleportation circle. Which you recognize this to be somewhat of a hallmark of your of Callista's writing style. She had a bit of a flair for not exactly disguising spells as other spells, but she liked to have fun with representing magic in different ways of writing.
I mean, that was certainly a flare, all right.
Ho 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 ho. So you quickly write it down. You scramble and get out one of your quills, and do you... It doesn't matter that much, but do you use the same parchment, or do you use one of your own? Prudence says, "There's no words. It was a spell," as he is scribbling this, what he saw down. And it's not incredibly difficult. It's, like I said, it is actually sticking in your memory. So you're not, you don't have difficulty transcribing it, basically. It's not a struggle for you.
Maybe there's something on there that's invisible or concealed with magic.
And you can hear, as this whole time, Savelis is just like grumbling and rubbing his eyes and muttering about other wizards not knowing their place. So you go and you try and decipher it. Go ahead and make an Arcana check. You have advantage because you are, at this point, fairly intimately familiar with your mentor's writing style. Okay, so you use your portents. A 16 plus a 7, that gives you 23, right? Is that math correct? Yeah. Good. You recognize it. Not only do you recognize it, the parchment that you used is imbued with a sort of low-level magical essence. You recognize it to be... It's not Spell Scroll of Gate, but you're close. It is a spell scroll of Plane Shift. And this particular one, because you rolled high enough, this particular one is single use, obviously as a scroll, but it can't be transcribed into your spellbook. so it can be used but not transcribed, unlike most wizard spell scrolls. This is a unique property. And it, let's see. It also, how do I describe this? It has a target. It already has a target. You don't know what the target is, but casting the spell will bring you to this location without your input. Otherwise, it is functionally identical to Plane Shift. You can see Prudence smiles and he says, "It appears I've been invited somewhere." But it, like I mentioned, it is otherwise functionally identical, so you can use the scroll on... Yes. Prudence, this is your invitation to smash. Everyone's here.
Prudence rolls the dice.
Prudence rolls this. Oh my god. This is gonna be a thing, isn't it?
Yes. Yes. We found the title of the video.
Yeah, but wait, no, Mario didn't die in this. Mario didn't die in this video, so it can't be a Smash announcement trailer.
Oh, I'm right.
All right.
Like,
he Prince just cast fireball at him.
Okay. So that's what you get out of it. You only needed a 17 to decipher that it was Plane Shift, but you rolled high enough to learn that it is also a predestined Plane Shift.
Great use of important.
Very good use of important. You had... Oh my god.
You hope will never get old?
Which is good. You needed a 20 to learn that, so... Yay, tears of success. Alrighty. We're just waiting for Prudence to type. As you're sort of both describing this and transcribing the circle, you say, "Thank you so much for holding onto this for me. I've been trying to get a hold of the sender for years." And Savella says, "Is the one you spoke of the last time you were here? You asked me of her?" Prudence nods. "The same." "Well, it's very good that apparently you left enough of a track for them to find you then. Though I can't say I necessarily approve of her methods," he says, sort of still rubbing one of his eyes. And sort of casually, as this is going on, Hoyt, Savelis kind of looks over to you, and you can see he peers through the lenses of his glasses, and he says, "You know, if you want to take care of your armor, you probably could do a little bit better than simply making it look better." Prudence says, "If that's what I think it is, it's a Plane Shift spell, leading us directly to a location in Androlynne. We can trust it because I know the owner to be trustworthy."
How would your owner send you to Androlynne? Why would your mentor? Sorry.
Yes, your owner.
Sorry, I was thinking of spells owner. My bad.
That's fine. Hoyd, you snap prestidigitation and clean your armor. As an aside, you didn't... it's not specifically Androlynne that you know, but you do know it's somewhere. Prudence says, I have no idea why she does anything she does, but that's how all wizards are. In any case. So you take a bit of time. Okay, you take a bit of time and you discuss sort of current events to Savalis. You solicit if he has any questions or anything that he would like to say to you. And he does mention, you had mentioned the incursion into... I am using the word incursion too much, I'm sorry. You mentioned the demons making their way into the capital. It's... I've recently felt a shift. It's difficult for me to describe, but it wasn't in the direction of Pitchfield. There seems to be some sort of essence growing, or perhaps being collected. And he looks over to your pack, where you've packed the soul jar, and he says, it felt a lot like that. I felt it traveling, almost tugging toward the east, almost pulling toward the east. I was not able to localize it. Unfortunately, the feeling was fleeting, but it has recurred several times. My attempts to discern exactly its nature or discern where it is going have been fruitless. I have reached out to my colleagues. One of my colleagues who, interestingly, the same who was able to provide you with the book, with the rituals book, turns to Rurik. She mentioned that she had felt the same as well. Well, he could have prepared a 20 portent if he were a divination wizard, which he is not. And he says, we've been in communication, but it's been difficult. The sensations come and go in the blink of an eye. It's difficult to prepare for something you don't know is coming. But there is something happening, something with these. And I fear that we might need all the help we can get. If you can find this mentor of yours, I just hope that she knows what's going on. I hope that she is able to help us. And I hope that she's friendly. And Prudence says, there's no time to lose. Hoyt?
Do you ever sense more than one at a time? Is a single entity moving?
He stops and thinks. It's difficult. What I feel, it's more of a... It's like a wind. Like the entirety of existence is being pulled somehow. It's very difficult to describe. It's less of an entity, less of a being, so much as a fundamental shift. And it worries me.
We found something else that nobody's been able to explain to me yet.
What's that?
Under the city of Pitchfield, we found some time-locked areas. And we sequestered a goat into them, but that's not the point. How does that happen?
As you're speaking, he mouths the word "a goat." he says, there were patches. How do you mean a time? What was it that you described it?
Let me tell you the legend
Sorry,
of the time-lost goat man.
I was distracted
Wait.
by the goat.
There's spaces within the caves where time essentially is stopped for whoever inside.
I see. And it's
I glare at Boyd a little bit.
I see. He's these spaces. They're areas. They're not individuals, or they don't appear to be attached to an object or an item of any kind.
Not as far.
It's like there's a hole in reality there or something.
Well, from what I hear, you've experienced holes in reality, so I assume they're not that.
We initially thought they might have been put there by the Dream Eater, but they still persisted even after the Dream Eater was slain.
Interesting. And did these time areas remain as well, in addition to the portals?
Yes.
Interesting. Interesting.
Oh, I did travel through the portal.
You did.
Of course I did.
Yes.
Wouldn't you?
He turns to Rurik and he says, "This one makes the best decisions, does he not?"
He is quite the bold one.
He makes decisions, yes.
Oh, Jesus. Are you
Oh, wait, that's a
prequel-memeing
prequel.
on me?
That was an accident.
And he, Savalis says, well, it's fortunate that he has Dr. Dwarf keeping him alive. And what did you see on the other side of this portal?
So I found many more demons, creatures, the ones we were fighting in the cave. I had to describe what the pinkies look like to him.
Okay.
And I went to go take a souvenir of my trip. It was very hot. Very, very hot.
Interesting. Well, it certainly sounds fiendish, abyssal or infernal. I cannot say without more information, but it could be the elemental plane of fire. There's a number of
I don't think it was
extraplanar-
that hot.
There's a number of extraplanar locations that it could have been. These time-locked zones, however, that concerns me. There are spaces that it is possible to manipulate the flow of time. The study is somewhat limited on this plane. There's not an incredible amount of interest in it, but there are...
Oh, and I survived that too.
You survived being locked in time?
Yes.
How are you still here?
I'm very good at my job.
No one can quite get rid of me.
Clearly, he says, responding to both of you. Prudence says he was rescued. This is concerning. It's not...
That I was rescued?
He's not me.
Also, yes. No, it's concerning that there appears to be shears in reality that are stopping time. I must consult with my colleagues on this. Thank you for the information.
It is my pleasure.
You've given me much to think about. Prudence. Perhaps next time we don't, Savelis goes to his Apple II. No, he has an Apple IIe, first of all, and starts accessing his bulletin board over dial-up.
His BBS.
He pops in his AOL free trial disc and uses another one of those precious 40 hours.
That's
And
how,
he,
that's how you install anything.
And Prudence, Savella says to you,
Installation.
we should, once you've met with your mentor, I would like very much to speak with them as well. I try to make a habit of keeping tabs on the most powerful ones. The balance of this realm is often influenced by forces outside of it, and I would like to at least have some awareness. Princess, I'll keep this in mind. Would you like to draft a formal letter that I can deliver for you? And Savella's kind of smirks, and he says, I don't think that will be necessary.
Should you not simply just send a message to this person?
I don't know her. In order to send a message, you have to know of someone at least. I know very little. And the specifics of the sending spell, you do have to be familiar with the creature. Okay, Prudence, you use sending to contact Callista. Go ahead and roll a d20. No modifier, just roll a d20. Ooh, lucky. That was so close to failing. So you mutter the spell, and you say, hello, can you hear me? This is Prudence. And there's a moment of where you feel the magical essence is more draining than usual. You recognize this feeling to be crossing planes. And there's a good probably minute and a half, 2 minutes where nothing comes through. Actually, she has to roll a d20 as well, so... Oh my goodness. You rolled a 2, she rolled a 3.
Oh, wow. I take it
this roll is actually not something you can use a portent on. Due to the nature of the spell, so for reference for the rest of you, you can send a message across to another plane of existence, but if the target is on a different plane, there's a 5% chance that the message doesn't arrive. There also happens to be a 5% chance of rolling a 1 on a d20. So...
That's what I figured it was.
Yeah. You rolled a 2, she rolled a 3 to respond.
Wow.
And she, for the first time in years, you hear, it's good to hear your voice. And that's all you get. Okay. So you don't mention the response. Yeah, there's a lot of things in D&D that has a 5% chance of doing something, and it's never mentioned explicitly anywhere, but just rule of thumb, don't bother rolling a d100. It's just a d20. If they roll a 1, that's 5%. Prudence says, I think we're done here then. And you hand him a gift. What is it that you hand to him? He says, it's a gem of cleansing. I got it a while ago, and I want you to have it now. He takes the gem and he examines it for a minute, and you see he goes to activate it, and all of the... I mean, he's a neat individual already. His appearance is pretty well maintained, but you know, over the course of the day, things happen, and you notice just like at the bottom of his robes, the trim gets a little bit lighter as the dust sort of is removed from it. And he says, Well, I've never seen this type of magic imbued into a stone before. I think it was a gem. Into a gem. I don't know why you would if you could just cast the spell, but I suppose if it's not something that you can have, then... I keep slipping into a too young version of him. The voice is not old enough. Prudence says, I'm glad I could amuse, if not impress you. And Savella says, did you make this? I mean, it is certainly impressive.
Nibbler.
And Prudence says, no, I bought it from a wizard. He says, well, I would like very much to meet this wizard someday. Perhaps I'll find them. Thank you. Again, I keep making the voice not old enough. Perhaps I'll meet them. I'll find them. Thank you. No, yeah, if you look at the stone, no, it doesn't have a signature on it, but you're sure he has ways of finding people. Alrighty, so do you leave and you go find Zook? While this is going on, does anybody have anything else you'd like to do while you're here in Savelis' tower?
I would like to talk to Savelis, but the party can leave. So I'll hang back a little bit.
Okay. So apart
in
from...
that case, I just have a quick thing I wanted to do before that then.
Sure. Alrighty.
Never stop messing with the... I wanted to ask Savelis, the book that you arranged for me, the Rituals of the Nine Hells, is that a book that you supplied, or did that come from your contacts library?
Oh, the name of the book was given to me by my colleague. I believe the book in your possession was given to you by Ickens?
Yes, that is correct.
Yes, I of course do have a copy of it in my library, but the name and the finding of the information therein was supplied to me by my colleague.
All right. I wasn't sure if it was a book that you sent to me, and I was going to ask if you wanted me to return it, but I see that it belongs with it.
Yes, I as much as my knowledge of Elven goes, I actually, interestingly, prefer most of my literature to be in common. It makes it easier to explain it to others.
Funny you should mention that, because that's precisely what I had to do to be able to read this book. I commissioned one to be transcribed in common.
Interesting.
God damn it, Prudence.
Yes, Savelis is a reverse weeb. He's so obsessed with human culture, he dresses up and pretends he has a short lifespan and says, "Hello, fellow human. It is a good day for the drinking, is it not?" You can see
no.
he like hides his like human his body pillow with like a human on it.
Oh no.
Oh my god.
Scrambles to take down his posters of humans doing human things.
Like accounting?
Drinking coffee, socializing.
Yeah, exactly.
Using hard liquor.
Doing metallurgy that weighs more than a pound. Yeah, stuff like that. Alrighty. So is that all you have for Savelis?
Yes, I just wanted to see if it was a book I needed to return or not.
Okay.
I thank him for his services, and I will be on my way.
Okay. So you head out. Shigun, do you leave with Rurik as well?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. You leave with Rurik. Prudence notices, you notice Hoyd hanging back. And you also hang back as well. And you and Hoyd sort of look at each other and hold eye contact briefly. And Savelis is just kind of standing there awkwardly glancing between you two. in a very hide the pain herald sort of way.
Right. Well, I suppose we have another audience to this conversation.
What is it, Hoyd, was it?
Yes, Hoyd. I'm a little concerned with the map that you have.
He glances over to it. Why is that?
I am concerned that I am being followed, and I don't like that. Especially magical means.
He goes over to the map, and he sort of runs his hand along it, and the other dots that were on the map before appear under his hand. And he says, no offense, Hoyd, I'm sure you're quite the spellcaster in your own right. And Prudence, no offense as well. You have a lot of potential. But this map doesn't follow you.
Well, that's comforting news.
He points to the one over at Ford's End, and he says, this one is for me.
I assumed as much. But then when you said it wasn't...
I didn't say it wasn't. I merely
and also
failed
seeing
to answer
how
the question.
broad the map is.
The enchantment on this map is such that the target is aware that they're being followed. They don't necessarily know that I am looking at them at this... I gotta chain smoke and get the voice bit right. They don't necessarily know that they're being watched right at this second, but in order to add them to the enchantment, if you will, they do have to consent.
Prudence, do you find that a little creepy?
Ember, just put a lot of vocal fry into it. Stuff.
Yeah, but he's old. He's not a 10-year-old chain smoker.
I'm pleased to know that's how the enchantment works.
Prudence says, it's wizard culture. You have to accept it if you're a wizard.
That's less comforting. I have rather important people looking for me, and I'd like to not have them find me.
He quirks an eyebrow and wipes the map, and all the dots disappear from it. You're looking for a means to not be followed.
I am.
He looks to Prudence. What you know of this? And Prudence helpfully suggests, if you die, people can't scry on you as easily.
Which leads me to my next point. Thank you, Prudence.
See, the problem is you don't have 7 firewalls, or 7 VPNs and have Norton. That's the key you're missing.
But if you sign up for NordVPN using my code...
Yeah. Sign up for NordVPN using the code Raid Shadow Legends.
Just click the link in the description.
Do it now and you can join my clan.
Prudence just shrugs.
No,
Sven says, there are ways to avoid magical observation. They are far from my speciality, but perhaps the one that gave you this, he holds up the cleansing stone, may know a little bit more about it.
Do I actually have the non-detection spell?
Do you?
Really?
I'm actually not. I'm not familiar with the Bard spell list, so I don't know.
No, interesting. No, that's on the side.
There are those who even go so far as to have themselves imbued with various enchantments. I've seen those occasionally that leave that leave certain schools of learning. Jesus Christ, my brain right now. There's certain schools of magical instruction that have enchantments practically surgically embedded within them to avoid detection. It is not a magic that's unheard of, but it is not something that is within my realm of expertise.
Prudence, would your mentor be more skilled in this enchantment magic?
He says, no, she's a divination wizard.
Oh, like you. That would make sense.
And Sylvalis turns to you, Hoyt, and he says, there are powerful people tracking you, trying to find you. I don't care what you did. I do care where they're from. If they're anything that I need to concern myself with. Are they from the Brotherhood? Are they from the Empire? Are they from Greyhawk? Where are they from? Prudence says, I'm glad you have to come to the realization before I had to spell it out for you. Sorry, go ahead.
Prudence, using the clues that I've given you so far, where do you think I'm from?
Are you asking me, the DM, that question, Prudence? Okay. Where do you think Hoyt comes from? He's being hunted by the king. I mean, with being as familiar as you are with the history of this kingdom, you know there are a number of potential individuals that fit that bill. Any of the former members of the Iron League, since it dissolved. Alyssa, the Alyssan king. Zavander, I think is his name. Anyone from the Northern Kingdom. There's a number of other world leaders that are not incredibly friendly toward Sundi. Potentially the Scarlet Brotherhood, although they haven't been seen in Sundi for decades, so who knows? They're more of a boogeyman at this point.
No, it's not the Brotherhood.
But yeah, you can think of, just with your knowledge and from your education of the history of this kingdom, there's a number of potentials that come up, and it seems not incredibly likely that any of them might go to incredible lengths to find someone like Hoyd, from what you know of him. But you've also heard Stranger, so your mentor up and disappeared and is apparently on another plane, so weirder things have happened. Okay. Do you suggest perhaps the Northern Kingdoms, but it's not really something I'm knowledgeable on. Oh man, I gotta go and get my gazetteer. My living Greyhawk gazetteer here.
Wait, so it's not Gazetter?
I don't know how it's pronounced. I've only ever seen it spelled.
It's Gazetteer.
Hey, I was right. So, where are we going with this conversation now?
Yes, Prudence, you are correct.
Zavanur. There's no D. Zavanur is the king of Alyssa. The over-king of Alyssa. Princess Wonderful. So it's not something Savalis needs to worry about that much.
Not particularly Savalis, but I do have a favor to ask.
Savalis kind of cocks his head at that. Where's the northern?
If you hear of somebody using any powerful divination magic from up north, could you send Rurik a message?
Well, that's not exactly... He glances over to the map and you see there are 3 dots. One is in Alyssa and 2 are in the Northern Kingdom. I don't exactly keep tabs on all the spells they're casting, so it's not really...
Just something out of the ordinary.
I suppose. I mean, this arrangement I have with these other powerful individuals, it's not exactly an alliance. We share knowledge, and we attempt to work for the better good of the realm. But we don't exactly... We're not pen pals. However,
So think of it as espionage for the greater good.
He mutters something real quick. You're not being hunted by Grenell, are you? Grenell being the king of the Northern Kingdom.
It's a possibility. He may have forgotten about me.
His righteous and transcendent majesty, the Overking of Northern Erde.
Yeah, that rings a bell.
You're fleeing the Northern Kingdom.
Yes.
Prudence makes Hoyd roll a 7 on his deception check. I was going to say make a deception check or persuasion, whether you're lying or not lying. You will have to tell me which one it is, though. I do know your backstory, but I don't know which one you're using here.
I am not lying.
Okay, so make a persuasion check.
$27. Bard being barred.
And you're just in tier 2. Imagine what's going to happen when you're in tier 4 play. Good god.
What?
The levels, they're split up by 5 into tiers.
Phrasing?
Is that phrasing? Anyway. Savella's kind of mutters a little bit, and he says, I think perhaps it would be best if you expedited your search for an item that may hide you.
Care to elaborate?
You are aware of Grenell's status?
I haven't seen him. I haven't seen him in a little while.
You are aware that he is. So the Northern Kingdom is a theocracy, more or less. It's a
Oh, yes.
monarchy with strong theocratic elements, and Grinnell in particular. I'm gonna go a little bit meta for a second. Grinnell is a level 19 cleric, so
Yep.
you would be very aware of his abilities.
I thought he was level 23.
No, that's Hazendel.
Okay.
He has multiple characters. He has multiple PC classes. Yeah, so you are aware. You are decidedly aware of that. You witnessed
Yeah, oh, yeah.
it quite a bit. He says, "This is something that I need to concern myself with."
Are you any danger here?
No. There's nothing that he could do to harm me here.
I thought so, which is why I bring it to you, and why I'm open and honest as I look at Prudence.
And he says, and Savelis says, You are a fugitive from the king. Are you excommunicate?
I like to think I've given myself liberty of my past life.
He is asking specifically if you've been excommunicated from the Church of Hexor, which you have not.
No.
Good. Then we will not be going to war then, over whatever transgression you may have had. Good? He kind of pinches the bridge of his nose. You can see he pushes the glasses up a bit. And he sits.
Prudence, that is a terrible impression.
Hoyt says, "I thought so, and that's why I'll be living with you from now on." And Savella says, "You will not." Oh, that's sorry, Prudence. You were saying for Hoyd was impressing. Sorry, I didn't read the whole line. I just read what was in the quotes. Okay.
But I think it worked anyway.
Whatever.
DM was had.
The reaction would have been the same regardless. Those with slightly more disappointment. And Savella says, "Well, these particular affairs I don't have influence on, but I will ask my contacts in the Northern Kingdom to keep an ear on the ground for you. Beyond that, I cannot promise anything."
That's all I ask. I intend to be a few steps ahead of him.
Good. Well, you at least a few steps ahead if you made it this far. You made it all the way across Alyssa. You managed to cross into Sundi without being stopped. Well,
Oh, that was quite a trip, let me tell you.
some other time perhaps. He looks over to Prudence. You know, my life was simple. Interesting, but simple. And now you've all come along and messed it all up, haven't you? Anyway, as I said, I will keep an ear out. I will have my contact to keep an ear out. I will be in touch if I hear anything, not if I don't. I would recommend in the future the information here would be perhaps better served if you informed your party of the potential danger you're placing them in, so that they could better protect you. And on that note, yes, we will actually be closing the session right there, because it is 10 o'clock, and it is time for me to go to sleep, because I got shit to do tomorrow. As always, I can't skip the most important part. Our next Thursday session is going to be on February 4th, and our next Monday session, so I'm running a second game set in the same setting. They are going to be on the 25th, and they run at 6 Eastern Time. Our next Thursday session is going to be on February 4th at 7 Eastern Time. As always, thank you guys so much for coming and watching. Hey, I had 3 viewers at one point. Wow. Anyway, thank you guys so much for coming and watching, and thank you guys so much for coming and playing. Have a good night.